Okay, I've started recording. So good evening and welcome to the next in the session of the Clarkson University Libraries workshops. My name is Mary Cabral and I'm the Health Sciences Librarian, and today we're going to talk about staying up to date in your field for health sciences. We're going to touch base on some ways that you can keep tabs on what's going on in your field of research and keep current and informed on topics of interest in your field. So I'm gonna move this to the side, and we're gonna it's a variety of things that we're gonna take a look at. It's not all just about library resources this time around. So one of the first things I wanna mention is that every profession or variant of usually has a professional society associated with it. For allied health science students, for physician assistants, there's the American Academy of Physician Assistants. And each of these organizations will have a website. For physical therapy, there is APTA, which is the American Physical Therapy Association. And occupational therapy is AOTA, which is the American Occupational Therapy Association. And so on any of these, they're going to have, it's worthwhile to, check out conferences and events. As students, there's often a low rate for participation and potentially even scholarships that might help support for travel and things once we're beyond pandemic limitations. They'll also have, a variety of continuing education and news and always advocacy and policy things that they may be trying to work towards or heighten awareness of in the field. You can see here again, here's APTA, advocacy, APTA and you, all different kinds of things, ways to network. Often there might be association or professional mentors that you can connect with. You just never know. There could be even, so if you're not in any one of these fields, something like the American Medical Association has a society also. Or, if you want to go more broadly than, say, physician assistant, something like American Medical Association would be an apt one to check out. Again, and you don't necessarily have to join. There's often a membership fees to some of these organizations, and you don't necessarily have to join in order to kind of keep tabs on what might be going on. Yes, here, physician job listings, there's often job listings also. Or something even like earlier today, I Googled Rehabilitative Care Association to see what kinds of other associations, and this website came up with a whole list. Depending, associations and organizations who provide rehabilitative services, depending on the nature of the treatment or the care that you're looking at. And so there's all different kinds of groups and associations. It's a way to connect. And as we've learned, there's so many ways that we can connect virtually beyond, it's in some ways maybe extended the opportunity to connect because everyone is so much more used to being virtual and connecting this way. So that's one way. Another way you might do it is when you're doing a search, and at this point we are going to go to the library databases. You can set up on any given database, check out PubMed to start. You can usually, up here where you see my login, M. Cabral, it might say sign in or login, and you can either log in or create an account if you don't yet have one. But if you create an account, when you're doing a search, when you've got the results, you can sign up for search alerts that will send you an email every time new results come up for that. So if I'm going to just throw in some general search terms just to get some results. let's say if we were doing something, let's see. Maybe this is a research topic of interest to me, or I'm working on my capstone or my thesis or something, a longer term research project. When I get my results, you know, I can limit them in all the ways that you might. That's not my focus today to go over those particular aspects. But up here at the top, you can see that it says save. So if I click on save, it says I can save the citations, right? And I can create a summary. Or actually what I really meant to point out is this create alert. If I create an alert, I can give my search a name. And these are my search terms that I've put in. However complex my search might be, it will show there. Would I like an email update on my results? Yes, I would. I indicate where I'd like them sent, and then I can indicate the frequency, even the specific day, what kind of format I would like it in to send me information. I think I'd like it to send me the abstract, and how many at most? 5 items. I'm going to say 50 items because maybe in a week there's a lot. And then I can indicate what the email should say to me, and then I can save it. And now my new search is saved. Every time there are new results that come up for this particular search, I will get an email and it will give me links to the articles that come up. And if you take a look in your dashboard, this is called My NCBI. Please note that that's the National Center for Biotechnology Information, which is under the umbrella of National Library of Medicine, which is still under the umbrella of NIH, the National Institutes of Health. So that's, if you're wondering where the initials NCBI come from. So on my NCBI, my dashboard, I can then see these are my saved searches. And it says what's new, 0 today. I just did it, of course. I can see that this particular search I last performed 8 months ago, and there are over 2,000 new results. But this is where it kind of keeps track of those saved searches, and I can click on any of them to run it again. And it doesn't mean that it's necessarily sending me an email for each of these. I have set that up in my searches, right? Here's my schedule. You can see that the one I just did, I've asked it to send me a monthly email. And for all of these, I say none. I didn't set it up as a search alert. I just saved the search. But that search alert is the way to keep up to date with new information that might be coming out in that search. So that's in PubMed. Other databases, almost all the databases have this functionality. Let's take a look at CINAHL, for example. And I believe, okay, here we go. I'm going to sign in. I've already created an account. So you can either sign in with Google, create a login here. You know, if you don't have an account, create one now. So I'm going to sign in with my CINAHL username and password. In the right place. There we go. I have to do that correctly. I should simplify my passwords. Okay, so now you can see it says sign out, update my account, not Mary. Okay, and that's how we can tell that I'm in my account, supported by Clarkson University Libraries. So I could do a search here. Let's change up the search. Here we go. I'll just pick one that it's suggesting. I do a search. Again, this is not a session to teach you how to do all of the most finessing of searches, but here I can see it asks me, it's not as obvious. Maybe I want to save this. It's underneath this icon that says share. When I click that, it gives me the option to create an alert, and that's where I can check email alert, Similarly, I can indicate the frequency and the kind of results and the format of the results that are sent to me, and you know, the date range of the articles. And I can save that alert and it will send it to me. So all of the databases have these options, and it's usually up here in the right top hand corner where you'll see an option to sign in and create an account. Even Google Scholar, that's something you use frequently. Let's see, I'm going to sign in. This is kind of an automatic thing because I have this Google account. Okay, and now we'll do a quick search, do our search, and this is where down here on the left-hand side, we see that create alert. I can give it a name, I can, you know, so this is what I'll see in the subject line of the email. This is where it sends to me. How many do I want? And then I can create that alert and it will send me an email every single time there's new, at the frequency that I set. Each time there's new research that comes up for that particular search. So it's kind of like having your own, you know, little research assistant doing some work while you're busy doing other things. Okay, so let's close those so we can move on to the next piece I want to show you. Reading key publications. So what are the journals in your field that you might be reading on a regular basis, and what's new in them? So let's see, we'll pick a couple of different journals. Journal of American Medical Association, JAMA, is one that is popular and useful. JAMA Network has a number of different journals underneath it. You could look at just one of them, or you can, you know, indicate the entire JAMA network. Let's say we're looking at neurology. And what you can do is you can subscribe to get an email to get a listing of the table of contents in each new issue that comes out. So right here, get the latest from JAMA Neurology. And if I submit my email address and I sign up, then whenever they publish new content, I'll get a list that says, you know, this is what's going to be in our next journal. And so you can kind of eyeball it and see if there's anything of interest. And if there are any articles, then you can go take a look to read them. When you're doing this, you're going to the journal website. This is one of the instances where you're not going through the digital doors of the library to the database to the journal that way, but you're going actually to the journal website. We'll pick another journal. Here we go. Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research, good for PT students and researchers. So you want to go to the website because this isn't about getting to the full text content. This is just connecting with the publisher to say, yeah, tell me if there's new content. And let's see, here we can do that. Where do they put that? You don't have to have a subscription. Okay, oh, here we go. Log in or register, subscribe to the journal, is paying for it. You may not need to because we might have access to it. It's get new issue alerts. And you can just enter your email address. And again, you don't have to have a subscription to the journal in order to get that table of contents list sent to you, saying, hey, new stuff came out, this is what's in it. When you see content that you would like to take a look at, that's when you might come back to the Health Sciences Library page, or the libraries page in general. And under Research Tools and Collections, under by type, you can go to Journals. And you can see, do we have that journal? So let's put in JAMA and see. We have the Journal of American Medical Association as a whole. And then I can see, you know, I have full text available. It tells me the date range of which we have it. And then I can go to it here. And this is where it's going through this proxy network. So it's basically opening up the digital door. This is the key to opening up to full text content. That is where you would then see, now you see access provided by Clarkson University. And well, I guess actually you could do it this way, and you can, again, get the latest from JAMA, and this is where you could put in your email address. But you don't have to go through the digital doors of the library to sign up for those alerts. But you do have to go through the library in order to get to the full text content. So then this is where you could then navigate to, you've got it's in the most recent issue, and you can navigate to, the date that you need. This is the current issue, here's past issues. This is how you kind of drill down to the date and the issue that you might need. So that's how you would sign up for a table. It's called a TOC, Table of Content Alert, from a key journal. So the next question you might ask, or actually before you do that process, you might ask, well, which journals would I want to do that for? What are the key publications in my field or on the topic of research that I'm interested in? And there are a couple of different ways to do that. There's a free website called SCImago. Even if you just Google SCImago, you'll find it. And it's a journal ranking. So what it does is it ranks the relevancy and the impact factor. Like what is the academic impact that this journal, how highly is it ranked? And so you can either, if you're interested in a certain journal and just what is its impact factor, you can kind of look it up here. But if you're coming here because you're not sure what journal to look at and you want to explore different journals, then if you click this journal rankings, you'll see that you can browse essentially here. So if I pick, a subject area, let's pick health professions maybe, and then under the subject categories, maybe emergency medical, let's say, and then I can pick, this is the country of publication. I can just say Northern America or wherever. It doesn't matter. It depends on what you're looking for. Oh, no rankings in Northern America. So let's try United States. Or we could leave it unchecked altogether if it doesn't matter. Just scroll down here to the right place. Okay, there we go. Still nothing. So let's get rid of all of that. Let's just say all regions and countries. Okay. And what I can see here is now it gives me a list for any of them, and it does it by rank here. Rural and remote health for health professions, emergency medical services is one of the higher rated. I'm just looking to see if I have all types, if I have some kind of filter on here that's keeping me from getting more results, because there's only 4, and that's surprising to me. But we're just browsing now, so we'll kind of leave it. And then you can just, take a look at more information about it. This is from Australia. It's about health professions, emergency medical services, medicine, et cetera, social sciences. It tells you the scope of the journal, gives you a link to the home page of it, and that's where you might subscribe to the table of contents. Let's go back to our journal rankings to take a look maybe at more. Let's go into medicine, and we looked at health professions, but maybe looking at medicine is more apt here. And again, I can look at subject categories, maybe where, we'll look at emergency medicine here. This is what I did last time. And again, this makes more sense. It looks like emergency medicine is a stronger category under medicine than health professions. I can change my region here. We'll try United States again. Okay. Now we're looking at 22 different journals, and we're seeing that academic emergency medicine is the highest rank. You can change how they're ranked if you want to look at it a little bit differently, but this is a way to maybe identify the journals that might be pertinent in your field. Another way you can do it very similarly is to go into a database called Web of Science. So let's go to the database list. We'll navigate to W. We'll go to Web of Science Core Collection. It's taking just a moment to load here. There we go. Web of Science. And up here, you'll see, so this is a database that we could search for any number of disciplines and search for research articles here. But what I want to look at here is journal citation reports. It's called JCR. That's the lingo in Web of Science. A system error has occurred. That's not very helpful. Let's see if we renew that, if it helps us any. It does not. I won't mess around with this here for the moment. It works similarly to SciMago, in which you can browse through different kinds of impact factor scores to see, you know, what are the journals that come up in your research topic or your field. Another way we can use Web of Science to know, you know, here's another way, you know, in your field, like who's doing what research in your field, where are they, like, you know, are they with a lab, are they with an academic institution, and who's funding it? Because, you know, that can be really telling in terms of maybe number one, knowing what's going on, but also maybe potential collaborations, or is there someone who is highly cited that you should be following? So I'm going to do, let's say, we'll stick with this again. Just crafting a little search about ACL surgery. I think I've got my parameters set up. There we go. We're going to just throw that out there. We want to get some results. Okay. Thanks with your patience as my internet churns. Okay, here we go. 6,000 results. That would not be all that useful if I were actually looking to, you know, inform my research paper or my clinical question, because that's far too many. But, you know, again, we can use our filters here to refine the results list. Maybe we'll refine it even more. You know, either way, oops, I forgot to click refine. Okay, so we were just narrowing it down a little bit more. We just got rid of thousands and thousands, so it's a more reasonable length to look through. But what I want to show you here is if I find, okay, multi-ligament reconstruction as a factor for adverse outcomes in arthroscopic surgery. Let's say this is spot on for the kind of research I'm doing. You can look at, you know, here we go. You can look at who's doing the research. Actually, let me back up, because that's actually really what I wanted to do. I'm getting stuck in the cycle of telling you how to do research. That's not quite what we're here for. What we're here for is who is doing the research and who's funding it. That's what this was all about. Reset. So I've done, you know, who's doing stuff on ACL ligament surgery, right? So I look at the results, and number one, the thing that it does is say highly cited in the field. There's one. We could click that and see. I'm going to refine and see what that one article is. Okay. This is published in 2020. It's been highly cited 12 times already in the year, I guess. It's a highly cited paper. It's given that status. So you'll know that these authors may be folks to follow, and if you click on any one of them, you'll get to a list of all of their research. Actually, I thought that would take me to a list that all of the research of that author. Perhaps not. I'll confess it's been a little while since I've used Web of Science, and they've changed their interface a little bit. Let's just take a step back. So that is how to find, you know, highly cited. But what I want to show you here too is if we come down here, organizations, where is, well, authors first. Who's doing the research, right? We can see that out of this list of 233, we've got, you know, 9 alone by this one particular author, 8 by this, you know, and so on and so on. We can see the organizations that are sponsoring that research. Not sponsoring, but it's, here we go. where do the authors reside, right? So out of those 233 articles, 14 of them are coming out of the Pennsylvania Commonwealth System of Higher Education. 14 are coming out of University of Pittsburgh, 11 out of Ohio State. So, and so on. And when you see these higher numbers, you can say, oh, wow, there's something going on there. That's where a lot of the research on this topic is happening. Similarly, you can go down to funding agencies, and we can take a look at who's funding the research. National Institutes of Health, that's the NIH, not a surprise. US Department of Health and Human Services, et cetera, et cetera. Here are some others, Smith Nephew, Arthrex, I don't know, who or what these organizations are, but then that way you can kind of take a look at who's funding it. So it's another way to kind of have a broad look at what's going on in your field and who's doing what, and again, who's funding it. So following or maybe potentially collaborating or maybe looking for your own funding or something like that. As long as we're on the topic of funding, there is, we have access to a database called Pivot. That's in the database list under P, obviously. We're gonna scroll there. And there it is, Pivot. It is a funding database, and you have to create an account. I've created an account and I logged in earlier today. That's why I'm showing up here, right? If I were not logged in, it would say sign in, and you click on that and it walks you to the form so you can sign up. It doesn't cost anything for you because it's something we subscribe to. And if I'm doing particular research, change it up here a bit. To spell things correctly. I'm going to look at rehabilitative assistive technology, for instance. And I do a search. And what I see is I can, this is, it is looking for funding, right? That's always useful if you're trying to fund your research in some way. And it could even be funding for a student who wants to do research with someone, or again, in non-pandemic times, get money to travel to a conference or to go meet with someone, things like that. So you can take a look at all of these different kinds of things here. But applicant types, top keywords, currency, there was here potential funding profiles, conferences. There was a listing here at one point. It said, who might you collaborate with? And maybe that's in a different place. I'll take a look in a moment. But let's say training or scholarship or fellowship, that might be most apt for a health sciences student. And so you can see, here are some things so that's, you want to travel somewhere, you want to take a workshop that might be online that costs some money, maybe there's some funding in here that can help you do that. And then in essence, it helps keep you up to date and keeps your skills sharp. Maybe it's money to travel to go to something. Maybe you can see, what organizations are sponsoring the kinds of research, the funding types up here that would, that's funding the type of research that you're looking at. So a little bit sort of to the side of just kind of keeping your eye on things, but I think it's very worthwhile to know about that. I'm going to come back to one of the health sciences database to show you one last thing here. Up to date. That's what this whole session is about, right? Staying up to date. And so what up to date is, it's an evidence-based physician-authored resource. There are more than 6,500 world-renowned physicians, authors, editors, peer reviewers, with a rigorous peer review editorial process, and it synthesizes the most recent medical information into one place for you to see on a variety of different medical topics. So if I were to search this, for instance, well, let's not do a search yet. What I want to show you is that underneath the contents, what's new, right? So what's going on? What's keeping up to date is about knowing what's happening right now. And so here's what's new in geriatrics. Let's take a look at that. What's new in geriatrics? And so this is informed by research literature up to September 2020, just last month. And it was last updated September 24th, so just about a week ago. Here's a table of contents of what you see here. Maybe geriatric infectious diseases is what I'm looking at. And so, you know, here's some updated guidance on flu vaccines, what the World Health Organization recommends on mask wearing in the community, and then, you know, and so on. And so this will continue to change. They really do keep it very current. Come back to this list. So on any, you know, one of these, you know, what's new in sports medicine, again, very up to date. And so you can kind of, you know, it's kind of the hot topics of what's going on right now. If you were doing research, let's just go back to this trusty search term, ACL surgery, so anterior cruciate ligament surgery. We can see that, you know, this is more of a research tool in terms of, you know, backgrounding myself on ACL surgery, injury, and, you know, all of the different factors in it. But it is going to be, it's up to date information. It isn't necessarily the hot topic piece of it. So, but very worthwhile knowing. So giving it a shout out for that today. And the last thing I wanted to mention that I think will be hopefully obvious to most of you is to check the social media. Professional organizations and student groups in your field will have Facebook pages, Twitter accounts, maybe TikTok at this point, I don't know, blogs, there are email listservs. I learn so much. I'm on a medical librarian and health sciences librarian listserv, and I learn a lot about what other people are doing, and it's also a place for me to go for guidance and to ask questions, and it's an international group of people that I would never have access to otherwise, to collaborate with, to get some, you know, input on a project I'm doing or a question I'm stuck with, and so that's really useful. You could even, you know, Google, you know, physician assistant listservs or student listservs, or, you know, exercise your Google skills to find, you know, the niche that you might be looking for. So that wraps up the content that I wanted to share with you today. Do you have any specific questions that you would like me to address? Bioethics, okay. In terms of staying up to date in bioethics, let's take a look. So let's go look at, we'll start kind of just quickly run through that list of things I suggested. So okay, I'm just going to I'll address the email question in a moment. Okay, so Bioethics Association. If I just Google that, I can see I've got an American Society for Bioethics and Humanities, an International Association of Resources Professional Bioethics Organizations, and maybe I can take a look and see what those are. Perhaps this international association is super interesting and worthwhile to me. So this is where I can see, you know, here's about us, but the journals and blogs. This is something you may not necessarily have to be a member. You know, it'll tell you under membership what, you know, if, you know, what the levels of membership are and what you need to do in order to become a member. But there's a lot of content you might be able to get to without being a member, or maybe it's worthwhile to. Links, let's see where that takes us. International organizations and networks, national organizations and networks, academic programs. So this word is so key, networks. That's what it's all about. You're going to these organizations in order to network and, you know, learn more about what people are doing and how you might fit into that piece. The next step was we were looking maybe for search alerts. Again, you know, searching a specific bioethics topic within one of the journals. I'll demonstrate a different one, maybe something like Science Direct, just so you can see. I can sign in here. I'm not going to remember my login, so I won't take the time to do that. But you could do, I know that not all topics in bioethics actually have the word bioethics in it, but let's say, let's say bioethics, medicine, and law, just kind of, and then this is where I can, right here, you can see set search alert, and it's going to require you to have created an account and to log in order to do that. But again, so up here is that sign in, usually up in that corner, and then somewhere either up here or on the left-hand side, you're going to see that. So set search alert, and that will be where you set the frequency and enter in your email so that you'll get an email, get something in your inbox. Reading key publications. We'll go back to slide 1. Let's see. Let's see if bioethics is in here. Chemistry. I would guess it would be potentially under medicine. Biochemistry. I'm not seeing it. Let's see if we can. This is search function is really only for searching a specific journal title, but let's go in there. Let's see if that helps us out a little bit. Okay, American Journal of Bioethics. This is just going to tell you, this is its H-index, which is an indication of its impact factor and the scope and things like that. So maybe that's another way to do it. But I could spend a little more time exploring those journal rankings to see. And then also, then there's again Web of Science. We'll go back into that database. Oh, bioscience humanities. Okay. Let's try SciMago. Didn't have. Go right into that journal rankings and see what we've got. Arts and humanities, maybe. I wonder where we're going to find ethics here. Well, maybe it's under. No, I can take a look, apart from this workshop, I can take a deeper and more detailed look at that for you, and I can always send you an email to let you know what I find. So explore that. Let's take a look here. This is going to be a very broad search. Bioscience and humanities. My guess is it's going to come up with a very large number of results because it's so broad. So maybe this isn't actually, oh, I was dead wrong. Only 10 results. That's because the database is looking for those specific words together in a journal. And so it's only giving me 10 journal articles that use those words together. So at any rate, a bioscience or bioscience humanities topic or bioethics topic is going to be, use a different language or terms to actually identify it. So, but this is where you would go, and you can then take a look and see, who's writing, where are they, and who's funding through that. Maybe take a quick look at UpToDate. Let's see if they have something in there. It's more medical. So I'm not sure if it will address that so much. So, you could say that bioethics could land in any of these topics, right? Depending on what you're looking at. So not as easy to just browse that here under the hot topics, what's new hot topics. So that helpful enough? I know it's very broad. It's you know, it's easier when I have a very specific topic to go research. So, okay. When you finish, can you keep your email address in your accounts? I'm understanding, let me know if I'm understanding the question correctly, is once you graduate and finish the program at Clarkson, do you keep your email login in order to have remote access to the digital resources? Your email address and thus that login will be valid for 1 year beyond your graduation. And then at that point, it shifts to an alum, a Clarkson alum email address, which does not give you access to these digital resources. If you are near one of the campuses as an alum, anyone is welcome to visit the libraries and do research at the library, in which that would give you on campus full access to our digital resources. You're welcome to tap us for research assistance, but we can't give you remote access. It has to do with the license agreements we sign with our the publishers and database vendors. Are there any other questions? Not at the moment. Please remember, if you have questions at any time, please come to us. You can email up here, ask a librarian. You can contact me directly here. If you'd like to set up a meeting with me, down here on the bottom of the Health Sciences Library webpage, right here, contact me or schedule a meeting. This is a link to my calendar in which you can set up the meeting, and it automatically creates a Zoom link for it. Or, you know, this is our online chat feature, not currently staffed, but when it is, there's someone there one-on-one. And there's a handful of librarians here to answer your questions, but please contact any one of us directly if you need more assistance. Going to back up for a moment. The next question is, okay, what about transferring your account to your institution? I'm not quite sure what that is asking. If you are then studying or employed at another institution and you have subscribed access through that, I think that then if you log in with the account you created, you might be able to keep it. I'm not quite sure. I'm going to make note of that question, and I can see if I can figure that out for you. That's not something I've had to encounter yet. I think that you would still have an account within, say, ScienceDirect or within Web of Science. PubMed for sure. PubMed, access to PubMed is not through a subscription. So anyone has access to PubMed anytime they want. It doesn't mean that you have access to all the journal content it might link to, but you will have access to PubMed. So that is not an issue no matter where you might be. I think that something with one of the subscribed databases that your account within may not transfer, but I'll take a look and see if I can determine that for sure. Okay. You are very welcome for, I'm so glad that you were here with me this evening. Be well, be safe, and I look forward to connecting with you again.